up, you guys? It is Bella, and today I am back after a long time being gone. I'm a senior in high school, and I'm almost graduated, but the past couple months has been really, really busy. So yeah, but here I am. I'm back. I wanted to. Sorry, Dobie's kind of going everywhere. I wanted to talk about some stuff that I have experienced. This is like, sometimes I don't like talking about it because I don't like to like invite it into my life, but I think that it's fun to share about what I've experienced and also listen to what other people have experienced. So today I'm going to be talking about my paranormal experiences. I don't live in a place now where I experience anything. This was mostly in my home in California, and I now live in Washington State. I lived in a house that was built in 1917, or 1915, so it is over 100 years old. It was part of a church, but it was moved from the church, and it is now on its own lot of land. It was the parishioner's home, and it was definitely had some experiences there, so I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about that. First of all, or I'll go from like the small things that happened to the big things, because there's quite a few bigger things that happened. So one thing was when just like weird things would happen. You guys just saw Dobie, that's my black cat, or I don't know if you guys can see her, but she's my black cat, and we had another black cat at the time. Her name is Georgie. She's still with us, but she would always freak out. We had more cats too and other animals, and they would just always freak out in the house. And I firmly believe that like animals can sense things, so I was like, wow, there must be something around, because the animals would freak out all the time. And then we also, or what I experienced is sometimes like it would just feel like someone was walking with me, or like walking behind me. My room was in the second floor, and we had 3 stories: the second story, the first story, and the basement. And so a lot of times it felt like when I was walking up to my room on the second story that someone was walking with me. I never felt anything creepy in the basement, which is like completely off of like not even stereotypical. But so those things happened, and then sometimes we would just be sitting down as a family, because I was smaller at this time. We would be sitting down as a family, and like the doors would close, like just slam shut, and we'd always blame it on the wind and stuff, but sometimes the windows weren't open. So let me talk about a few of the bigger things. Now, before I get into that, I want to say that like one thing, there was quite a few things that happened in the house before we moved in. First and foremost is that it was the parishioner's home, and at the time when when people would pass away, they'd bring the bodies in for mourning, and so there definitely has been dead bodies in my house. But since then until now, there has been quite a few deaths with the families relating. So we did some research, and then we also had some people contact us in the community telling us their experiences when they lived in the house. There was one little boy who will come up later in the stories. He was in the backyard, and there was a pool, and he ended up drowning in the pool and passing away. Now, they had refilled the pool, and then a few years later dug the pool that's there now. And then also a few other children in the house have passed away through weird circumstances. One got stuck on train tracks and got hit by a train. The other one was murdered very violently, not at the home. But yes, they were murdered very violently. So, there was already these crazy things happening around it. And so one thing, when I was around 10 years old, I was playing on my DS, taking photos, and I had like a stand-up mirror, and so I was taking photos in it, because I had just cleaned my room, and So like there was the mirror, and then in the reflection in the hallway you could see my mom's walk-in closet, because old houses are set up really weird like that. And in the photo, if you zoom in, I like realized that it looked weird, like it didn't look like the same color, everything else was dark, and then there seemed to be like a green spot. And when you looked into the photo, and this is like really hard for me to talk about because I don't like to bring it up, but when you look into the photo, you can see a little boy. And I might be able to find the photo. If I can, I'll insert it here, but I didn't like to keep it around me because it really scared me every time I saw it. But there was a little boy, and then I showed my mom because, of course, 10-year-old me was freaking out, and she noticed that on top of the little boy, where his heart would be, there was another face, and the face seemed to be like, you know, the masks that doctors used to wear with the big noses during like the Black Plague? It was a mask like that over the little boy's heart. And so in that photo, I felt it was very, like, the little boy was there, which I was not afraid of at all because I knew who it was. But the face above it I felt was almost demonic. And I didn't want to talk about that a lot when I lived there because I didn't want to invite that in my life. Anything that's bad with bad spirits, I didn't like. So we wouldn't think much of that, but throughout the times we had like taken more photos and there were faces. Another thing that happened, which is, I don't think it's scary, it just is kind of frightening when it happens, because it's really crazy, and I know a lot of you might not believe it, but it did happen, and it, still is crazy, and I didn't even believe it, but my mom, she was at home one day, and she said, and she was with my grandmother, and she said she heard church bells ringing in the house. Not just any church bells, like a ringtone or anything, but full on, like, church bells ringing. And she said it vibrated the house, and we didn't believe her. We thought they were just high or something, which they're not high. But, so we didn't really believe her. And then my dad heard it when they were alone. And we had lived in the house for a time period of like 9 years, so it happened very, very spaced out. It wasn't like it happened all the time. This happened like a couple years after we had lived there. And so, we heard the church bells, or she heard the church bells. We didn't believe her. Then a few years down the road, my dad heard them. And when my dad heard them, he likes to debunk things. He's not a huge believer, so he wanted to figure out what it was. So he got tools that he used to look inside of the walls, because there was void spaces in the walls, to see if there was any, like, clocks or any, things that would make this noise, because it was just in the house. My mom had gone outside when it was happening, and it wasn't outside. So we did all that, and nothing. There was nothing in the house that would make the noise. And I obviously didn't believe him. I still hadn't heard it. And oh, it gives me the chills every time I talk about it, just because it's, like, so crazy. I was home, and we had moved away, and then we had to move back into the home. So I was at the house, and I was alone, and my mom was just pulling up from work, and I heard him, and it was insane. It was, like, actual church bells, like dun 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 dun. And my mom walked through the door because she had just got home, and she saw the look on my face, and she was like, "You heard him, didn't you?" And I was like, yeah, I didn't even know what to say, because I was, like, on my way out the door. I didn't want to be in the house, because that was just crazy for me. So that's the crazy thing. And then we, like, the further on, when we lived in the house, when we were getting closer to moving out, we had a lot of bad experiences. They were no longer, like, sweet, innocent little things happening. They were, like, pretty heavy stuff. Like, my mom said that one time she was sleeping and she woke up and there was someone next to her bed and they told her to get out of the house. And I mean, I had been woken up by things before, but that is a whole nother story. It was right after my grandmother had passed away, so I think that it was my grandmother. Anyways, yeah. But crazy things in the house. And I might still have a few photos. Like I said, if I find any, I'll put them in either when I said or right now or at the end of the video. But it's just people who say, like, it is definitely a hard topic to talk about because a lot of people, there's not like a huge amount of evidence backing it up. But, you know, when you experience it, there's no way to explain it, and it's just kind of creepy. So that I'm really glad I'm away from the house now. There are people living in there now, and there are a lot more stories that I have that are also very intense. So if you guys want to hear those, you know, like, or sorry, my cat. Woo! She just fell over. Say hi, Dobby. She's not having it today. But yeah, if you guys want to hear any more stories or anything, comment down below and let me know if you like him. But, you know, it's difficult to talk about these things, especially when it feels like there's an evil entity involved, because you don't want to have it involved in your life. And I've come to the point where it doesn't affect me anymore. Like, I have told family members and friends, so now it doesn't affect me. I don't let it bother me, and I don't let it come into my life. In the house I'm living at now, I don't feel anything, but there have been a few little weird things, so we think that maybe, like, something attached to the objects, but we're not sure. So, yeah, that's my crazy story. And like I said, if you guys like it, please, oh my god, my cat's about to, like, kill my whole setup. If you guys like it, please like and subscribe and comment. I know it's kind of like a short story, even though I take forever to explain it. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time.